Ahoy hoy, this is Michaela from Team Retro, where we like retro games and we like the devices that bring them to us. Now this video is a little bit different because I usually review handhelds on this channel, but Cyber Monday came and went and I could not resist picking up this impressive little piece of budget tech. This is a 15-inch gaming laptop from MSI, and I purchased it from Walmart for about $400. And so we're going to see what makes this computer tick. We're going to do a little bit of a teardown, and we're going to see the upgradability of this device. But on top of that, we're also going to do some game testing. This is a gaming laptop, so my expectation would be that we can perform well on some PC games, and we're going to see how far we can go with emulation. And to really commit to the bit, I'm actually using this laptop as my daily driver, so this video that you are watching right now has been completely edited on the computer that you're seeing on screen right now. And so you may be hearing a bit of a difference in sound quality, as well as the sound of my voice might be different, and that's because I am using a program called DaVinci Resolve instead of Final Cut Pro. So it's time to see how far this device took me, so let's dive in and let's get to work. Alright, let's hop on our mount and take a ride into Spec Town here. We're rocking an 11th gen Intel i5 processor, and that clocks at about 2.70 gigahertz. We're going with 6 cores, 12 logical processors, and a fairly decent NVIDIA GeForce 1650 Max-Q. Now the Max-Q means that we're not going to get as good performance out of the 1650, but it's still pretty respectable. Out of the box, we have 8 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM and a 256 gigabyte M.2 hard drive. Those are user upgradable, and it is fairly easy to upgrade these components, and we can also add a SATA drive if we want. Let's take a quick look at the I/O here. You have a proprietary charging port here, which is kind of a pain in the neck. I would have preferred to have USB-C. And then you have 3 USB-A ports, and you do have Ethernet and USB-C for data transfer, but unfortunately you cannot charge using it. On the back, we also have an HDMI out, which is another one of the positives of this computer. And we also have a 3.5 millimeter port for headphones and microphone. Now let's go ahead and open up the unit. We're going to do that by unscrewing 12 screws on the bottom of this unit, including a screw in the middle that has a factory seal sticker. You're going to have to break that seal in order to get inside the unit, which can impact your warranty should you need to bring this in. Now, while I'm taking these screws out, I do feel the need to comment that the plastic housing on this computer does feel kind of cheap, and when I started to pry loose the back panel, I did use a guitar pick just to make sure I didn't break any of the snaps on the computer, but I could right off the bat tell that this was some pretty cheap, flimsy plastic. As a matter of fact, since I only paid $400 for this device, I felt like I kind of got what I paid for. And so here's what the device looks like from the inside. You could see there is an extra slot for a DDR4 SODIMM to go in to supplement that 8 gigabytes of RAM. And you could also see the M.2 drive, and you could see the SATA drive slot. And so we could seat a SATA drive right in that slot, and the computer comes with an included bracket so that you can secure the hard drive in place. Thankfully, you don't have to spend any extra money to get the bracket. It does come with the computer. And so this is what it looks like with the hard drive seated in place. And you could see that this is a very easily upgradable computer. So ideally, you'll probably only want to open this up once, replace whatever drives and RAM that you want to replace, and then you should be good to go. And so what I'm ultimately going to do with this device is I think I'm going to get two 16 gigabyte RAM sticks, and I'm going to throw a 1 terabyte hard drive in the SATA slot. And hopefully that will help me future-proof this device a little bit. Moving on to the gameplay section, while Celeste is playing, I just wanted to acknowledge that I am still using DaVinci Resolve to use this specific MSI computer to do my editing. So the audio in the first section of the video might have sounded a little bit distant and echoey. I made some adjustments and hopefully my voice in the rest of the video sounds better. So I generally found that all of the PC games that I typically play on retro devices like Celeste and Turtle Shredder's Revenge, Hollow Knight, and a lot of these indie titles ran really great on this computer. And I didn't have to tweak any settings at all, I just ran them at their default settings. So I'm just going to let some of this footage play, and then we're going to get into some of the harder stuff. Now, when I started playing Forza Horizon 5 on this device, it recommended that I keep things at medium settings, which is what I did for the purposes of testing. And this was my first time playing Forza Horizon 5 ever, let alone for the channel. And I have to say that even at medium settings, I was blown away by this game. Now, this is not playing on the cloud. This is installed right to my computer. And I have to say that it looked really good, especially connected to an external monitor. That's really where this device shines, because the 1080p screen that you do get with this device is okay, but it's not anything to really write home about. It does the job, but it doesn't blow your mind. At least it does operate at 60 frames per second. And even when connected to an external monitor, I wasn't able to push this past 1080p, but the picture quality just looked better on the external monitor, which means this laptop is probably best suited as something that maybe you would bring to the office or that you can actually hook to an external monitor. Moving on to emulation, I did test some of the higher end systems like Wii U, and generally I found that this was pretty powerful in its ability to emulate. Here is Breath of the Wild, and there are some dips at default settings, but for the most part, it does maintain 30 frames per second. Now, I did try some graphics mods and some plugins, but they seem to just slow everything down on this device, so I ended up turning them off. However, I would consider Wii U perfectly playable on this device. Quick disclaimer, I am about to showcase some Nintendo Switch emulation, so I just wanted to show off that I do in fact own these games and I did buy them with my own money. And legal disclaimer, Team Retro does not condone piracy, and this video is for educational purposes only. Plus, I wanted to show off my Estinian sticker from Final Fantasy XIV. He's still one of my favorite characters to this day. And I also wanted to show what a fingerprint magnet this computer actually is. With that disclaimer out of the way, let's show Kirby and the Forgotten Land first. And there are a couple of frame rate dips here and there. We're playing in 720p handheld mode. However, I would consider this game perfectly playable on this computer. And because this device emulates Nintendo Switch and most higher end systems very well, anything below this should be able to emulate with very little trouble, which is why I didn't showcase NES, SNES, or any of those 8 and 16-bit systems because they will work just fine here. And there have been a ton of optimizations to the Yuzu emulator done in the last couple of weeks, so even a new release such as Pokemon Violet does seem to be running fairly decently on this graphics card. There are still some frame rate dips, but I'm not exactly sure if they have to do with the poor state of this game particularly, or if they have to do with an emulation issue. Either way, again, this seems perfectly playable on this computer. Alright, this has been my daily driver for the last week and a couple of days, so let's get into commendations and condemnations. So I'm going to start right off the bat just by saying that the price to performance of this computer, given the fact that it was a Cyber Monday purchase, is actually fairly decent. The only real roadblocks I had during video editing was learning how to use a new program, and most games that I threw at it ran very well even if I didn't necessarily play them at high settings. I also do like the user upgradability of this device, specifically the fact that there is a SATA slot and an extra SODIMM slot, so you can use dual channel RAM. Plus, the fact that you are running Windows means you're going to get the best game compatibility as far as emulation, but also as far as access to all the various PC game stores like Xbox, GOG, as well as Steam. And the best experience you're going to have with this laptop is if you actually have an external monitor to connect it to, and that gives this a great experience while docked, which kind of defeats the purpose being a laptop, but you're also going to have a great portable device that you can bring over to a friend's house or you could bring to an office or to travel. As long as you have a television or something to hook it up to, you are going to have a movable game console. However, I do need to point out, getting into condemnations, that the screen on the laptop itself is meh. It does the job and it is a passable screen, but As far as gaming laptops go, it's definitely a lower tier screen for a gaming PC. Keeping in mind that this is a budget laptop, you do get what you pay for in certain aspects. Specifically, you are stuck with a proprietary charging port, which means you're lugging that power plug with you everywhere you go, and you're going to need it because, like with most gaming PCs, you'll probably get 2 to 3 hours battery life at most with heavy gaming. I actually left this unplugged overnight one night, and when I went to go and use it the next morning, it was at 9% battery in sleep mode, and it was almost at a full charge when I put it to bed that night. And finally, I was a little upset that this device comes with a USB-C port, but it's only used for data transfer. You cannot use it to charge the device. And that's not the only place in which they skimped, because if you look around at the plastic and the overall build quality of this device, it does come across as pretty cheap as far as laptops go. And so the overall question lies is, would I recommend this device to somebody who is looking into a gaming PC? And I would ultimately have to say that it depends. If you are looking for an entry-level laptop for a child or to supplement something you already have, maybe you want to just get some retro gaming on it or use this for everyday tasks, then yes, I would say that the price to performance, given that this was a Cyber Monday deal, was definitely worth it. However, if you are looking for something a little bit beefier and you have a bit of a bigger budget, then this device may not necessarily fit the build, especially because what you're saving in money, you're also losing in overall build quality and certain conveniences like USB-C charging. However, as a retro gaming machine, I would say this works very well. For me personally, if I can wrap my head around DaVinci Resolve a little bit more, this will become my new daily driver for some time to come. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Is this a good laptop for the price? Is this something that you also purchased during Cyber Monday? Or is this something that you would ultimately pass on, especially if you have other devices that do similar jobs? And feel free to continue the conversation in the Steam Machine Discord. Link will be in the video description, and Team Retrogue is still part of the Steam Machine production, so definitely go check them out. But that'll do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and if this video was helpful to you in any way, please be sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, bye for now, and don't stop believing.